All right, what's up, guys?
Hey, what are we watching here?
So we got a few videos today that I found searching around on the internet, and I just want to get you guys' reactions to them. This first one comes from an Alex Hormozy. He has a channel at Alex Hormozy on YouTube, and what he's doing is he's telling us 4 simple steps to start a business that anyone can do. So I'm going to play this real quick and just see what you guys think.
My man's got a fantastic beard.
I'm at this dinner with a bunch of college seniors, and they're all talking about how they want to get into entrepreneurship, that they're entrepreneurs, they're starting their business. And I was like, hey man, I talked to you 6 months ago, so where are you at with that business? He's like, I'm still getting my LLC set up. What? Dude, that's not starting a business. That's like being able to have a business. There are 4 steps to start a business that anyone can do. Step 1, get an articles of incorporation that you can get online. Step 2, take those out of incorporation to go to a bank and open a bank account. Step 3, connect payment processor to said bank account to collect money. Step 4, provide value to a stranger in exchange for money. That's it. And they could have done all of those things in the time that they were talking about the business that they wanted to start.
So what do you guys think about that?
I mean, he's right about the first part. Too, I've heard so many people saying, I'm starting a business. I just got to get all my paperwork for me. It takes a day. It's not hard to get done.
So, yeah, I mean, I agree with that. You know, that the number one thing that people who say they want to start a business have is excuses for why they haven't started their business.
Yeah.
So Confucius said, you know, the way to make a 1,000-mile journey is to take the first step.
Okay.
Very
philosophical.
And so a lot of these guys on YouTube that are like this, they're basically, you know, they're tough love guys. You know, they're like, get off your ass, you know, stop talking about it and just do it.
Yep.
Now, with the particular things that he said there, though, right? He said, go online and form your LLC. He said, go get yourself. No, he said, first one was, he said, do your articles of incorporation, then do your LLC.
That's forming your LLC is the articles of incorporation.
Right. So,
or articles of organization.
Right. Then he said, go start a bank account with that, right? Which you do need that. Then he says, hook up your credit card processor to that, and then figure out how to trade value, you know, for money.
Yeah. He kind of skips that last part over. He glosses over the end there. And you know, it's kind of like that South Park deal where it's like steal underpants, step 2, step 3, step 4, profit.
Well, I agree.
What's the step 3?
Exactly. I totally agree with this sentiment, you know, like get off your ass and do something.
Yeah, I do too, yeah.
But I think there's a little bit more to that than you know, simply starting an LLC. We talked about this before with, like, especially now with the ghost LLCs or the dormant ones, where now people have to file these
beneficial ownership information reports.
BOIs, right?
BOIR, yeah.
Yeah. So that's a big deal because a lot of people do actually do what he said and go and file an LLC because it's so easy to do online, and then they forget about it. Right, and then they don't file the paperwork that goes along with it, but the state still, because the LLC has been filed, so from the state's perspective, they're like, this is a business, you know, and we want our money or we want our paperwork.
So
from the
IRS.
IRS
Let me ask you guys a
standpoint.
question. Because it seems like in here he's also kind of speaking more so. He gives you the steps, but he's also kind of speaking to a mentality, right? Because in the beginning, it's like, you know, it tells a story about, hey, where were you at? I talked to you months ago. Where were you at on starting that business, right? So let me ask you guys a question. What tips would you have for anybody who may have a great business idea but lacks in the drive or the discipline that it takes to be an entrepreneur?
Go get a regular job.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you don't have the drive, then I met a kid yesterday who showed up with a notebook full of research that he's done for the whole year. He's got a good job and he wants to be an entrepreneur and he's doing his homework. So he's definitely got the drive. He just wants to make sure that when he steps into it, he's ready.
Yep.
And it's not an excuse type deal. It's I'm getting myself prepared, which is what we talk about here all the time. You know, preparation is the key, because it stops you from making those costly mistakes like I made when I started, because I'm a jump in kind of guy. I am the guy that goes and starts an LLC and then finds out later that I owe the IRS or whoever $5,000 for not filing the BOIR paperwork.
Yeah. I like the sentiment, though. He's very motivational. And you do need that. But to your point, Calvin, if you don't have the drive and you need somebody like this to be motivating you, just do something else. Go get a regular job, work 9 to 5 until you find the energy.
So have either one of you guys ever heard of the bathwater method?
No.
All right, neither had I before today, but I'm going to play this and see what you guys think.
All right.
The bathwater method. This is how you buy a small business for $0 up front. In the US, right now, there are something like 11 million small businesses for sale. Only 1 in 12 of those small businesses will sell inside of any calendar year. That means you have 11 small businesses left that will never sell. At some point, the owners of those small businesses will get tired, will get delinquent on payments, will need to move on. And so they are going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. You are going to be able to buy that business for $0. When you shut down a business, it actually costs you money as a small business owner. And so you are going to say, hey, Mr. Business Owner, why don't you let me buy your business for a percentage of the future profits by keeping it open? I will only pay the transaction fees to buy out your business. In the future, I will give you 5% of the business ongoing and 5% of the distributions. The key here, though, finding the people who are going to throw the babies out with the bathwater.
Shout out to Cody Sanchez CT on YouTube for that one. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, my first reaction is how do you find those people that are ready? You know, the last part was the most important part in my opinion right there. Mm-hmm. How do you find those people that are ready to let somebody just walk in and take over their business?
I mean, it sounds good. I'm skeptical, though. I wonder if this Cody Sanchez has ever actually done that. Actually accomplished buying a business for nothing and just saying, I'll give you a few percent. Now, I have seen clients come in here who have taken over companies that are in default or doing poorly for a percentage, but it's usually much more complicated than what she's talking about.
Yeah, I would say that if someone is coming into a business and they're willing to take it over, I think a lot of owners at that point would say to themselves, well, I've got value here. You know, I don't want to just get 5% going forward. You know, maybe in that sense, they would think to themselves, well, why don't I hire a manager then? And that person can manage business. I'll still own everything. And I can work out a percentage that's good for them and good for me, but I'll get a higher percentage than 5% for sure.
I think kind of taking what she said here, one of the successful methods I have seen is finding businesses that are in default. So ones that owe lots of sales tax or liquor taxes for bars, stuff like that, that are kind of underwater and with no hope. You can kind of come in and save the day, but it's not for $0. You got to pay the sales tax back. You got to get everything current, and then you can have a small percentage go back to them. I've seen that occur, but I've never heard anybody buy a business for $0. If it has happened, please tell me about it because I would love to learn.
Yeah, I would like to see that too because I don't see it happening as a stranger. Like, how would you find out if people are underwater? Is that public knowledge?
I mean, no.
So
no, their tax liens are public knowledge technically, but I guess you just go knock on people's doors and just say, "Hey, is your business failing? Can I take it over?" And get 10,000 no's.
So there was a video that I watched a while back where it was something like that, where this lady was looking around for, they were basically identifying businesses that might be willing to sell for private equity.
Yeah.
And she was basically bird dogging it, and she created like a team of interns to go look for businesses. And I mean, there's a video online where she goes through the whole method that she did, and she ended up for herself buying a business that does egg cartons, custom egg cartons. And so they sell literally egg cartons all over the country to small farmers who are doing farmers markets and things like that. And she was able to walk in and essentially get that business for, I think, no money down or something. I don't know exactly how it worked, but the other side of it is that she had to put in a lot of research to identify potential targets and then just do a lot of cold calling. She even made a T-shirt, like, you see these signs that say, "I want to buy your house."
Oh yeah, I want to buy your
She
business.
basically made a T-shirt that says, "I want to buy your business," and literally walked around the city and went to different places until she, got some leads.
Clever. All right.
And so pretty much we're kind of looking at it's almost like a reverse Shark Tank.
I mean, you could say it like that
bit here.
in a sense, yeah.
So, and speaking of Shark Tank, and if you follow our TikTok, then you'll get the joke here. Next video is coming up from my good personal buddy Mark Cuban, with some, I guess, more of a thought of whether you should take a loan to go into business or not.
Okay.
You're starting a business and you take out a loan, you're a moron. There's so many uncertainties involved with starting a business, yet the one certainty that you'll have to have is paying back your loan. 99% of small businesses you can start with next to no capital. It's more about effort. Small businesses don't fail for lack of capital. They fail for lack of brain, lack of effort. If you start a business, you better know your industry and your company better than anyone in the whole wide world. If you're going to compete with me in one of my businesses, you better realize that I'm working 24 hours a day to kick your ass.
There you go. Shout out to Real Wealthy Pot on YouTube for that. What do you guys think about that? How many? There's a lot of people out there that may want to start a business, and one of the biggest barriers to them is getting that initial capital. And so, what do you think on his views on taking out a loan for that capital versus just starting small and raising it?
I don't think there's any problem taking out a loan to start a business, particularly if you're taking out against assets that you have collateral on. But I understand what he's saying, and I don't want to disagree with Mark Cuban.
So yeah, I mean, I was going to say the same thing.
I hope I'm him when I grow up.
Yeah. Who's gonna disagree with Mark Cuban on business, right? But I wonder, like, without knowing, I really don't know a lot of history about Mark Cuban. I mean, of course I know he's on Shark Tank and everything, but I don't know that he's ever actually had a small business.
He did his first business, but it was the precursor, I think, to Netflix. It was the first streaming service. They did ball games on radio streaming, and then I think they moved to some videos, and he created all that. I don't know if he created the software or if he created the business.
Well, I'd like to.
That's how he made his money.
I'd like to kind of do a little bit of research on that. But what I'm going to say about that is, it really also depends on the business. If you have like an inventory heavy business that you need to have a lot of stock and you need a pipeline, then you may need to have some kind of capital, right? So whether it's an investor that expects a return on his money at some point, for being a part of for investing in the business, or whether it's a bank loan.
So help me out and just clear something up for me real quick too. A traditional loan from a bank or the SBA, however that comes, versus an investor. Correct me if I'm wrong, but an investor is, in a sense, they're in it with you. So if the business fails, I mean, they're kind of prepared for that to be a loss. But a bank, if the business fails, still wants their money on that loan. Am I correct?
Yeah, and that's what Mark is basically saying here.
Okay.
So that's why. Once again, that's why really, really good planning comes into it, and planning for a certain amount of lead time that that you're probably not going to be making profit. So you take out a loan that's going to tide you over for that time. And Mark is correct where that adds a lot of pressure.
Well, he's also not wrong that a lot of businesses you can start for next to nothing. I mean, you can start some hustles, just putting in the effort and making your capital that way to then invest in something bigger.
Yeah. So I think I would say that if you can start your business without taking out a loan from the bank, then, or from anybody, and especially do not take your loan out from Vito on the corner. Because that VIG right there is going to crush you within a matter of weeks.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
And it'd probably crush your kneecaps too. All
right, and then this last video that I want to play for us today comes from one of my favorite channels, because myself as a creative, it's quite hard when you're trying to do something creative for profit. and understanding what you should charge versus what your value is. And often that can be different from job to job. So I'd like to play this video real quick here. He's kind of talking or running through a scenario or kind of role playing a scenario here of how to handle a customer's objection to your price for your service.
Hey, I would love to hire you for a logo.
That's great. I would love to work with you. What do you need?
I need a logo for my new business that I'm starting. How much do you charge?
I charge somewhere between $5,000 to $10,000. Does that fit within the budget of what you're prepared to spend?
No, that's ridiculous.
Let me ask you a question. What kind of car did you drive over?
BMW.
Well, all cars can get you from point A to B. Why did you pick the BMW?
Because of how it drove, it's comfortable.
It's a driver's car. It's
Yeah.
German precision engineering, the way the door sounds when you close it. You spent probably $65,000, $70,000 in that car, am I right?
Mhm.
So you want to spend $1,500 on a logo? See, so people, I understand this, want to be consistent in their lives. Does it sound consistent to you?
No, not when you phrase it like that. But I still only have $1,500.
Fine, go save some money. Come back to me when you're ready, because we're not ready to work together. I put too much energy and effort. I've done too much training in my life, and it just wouldn't be right. So that's the door. Thank you very much.
I love that guy. I've seen him a bunch on
Yeah,
YouTube.
shout out to the Future channel on YouTube. And really what I kind of took from that and what I want you guys to kind of speak to there is how do you as a small business owner value your time, products, or services versus a market that may not want to pay that much or may not see the value in it?
So he's on a little bit of a different level than most people who are going to start out. He is a very successful logo designer and graphic artist, and whatever he's doing, he's got a full plate already. So he's not taking any business that is not priced right for him. But when you're first starting out, sometimes you take whatever job you can get. I mean, when I first started, I was working, for $15 an hour as a bookkeeper for some people, while I was also charging what I thought was a better price for my service to other clients, until I was able to fill up my entire schedule. Then I can start saying no to things.
So I think my take on this is, number one, what to charge is often a perplexing thing especially for new businesses.
Mm-hmm. Especially for creative businesses too.
Especially for creative businesses. And a lot of people, like this customer, for example, don't necessarily have a good idea of what the pricing should be. Mm-hmm. So when the customer says something like, well, that's ridiculous, mm-hmm. right? Then she's basically saying, I don't think you're worth more than what I want to pay.
Yep.
So I would say, that naturally you're going to bristle when a customer comes at you like that. But that is an opportunity to educate them on why. It reminds me of the old joke that there's something wrong with the ship's engine, mm-hmm. and none of the ship's engineers can figure it out, so they call in an outside mechanic, and he comes in and he listens to the engine for a few seconds, and he gets a hammer out of his bag, and he goes over and he just taps on the engine at some point, and then it works, right?
Yeah.
And so the shipping company gets the bill, and it says $10,000, and the owner says, well, you were only here for 10 minutes and you tapped on it with a hammer. Why is that $10,000? I'm not going to pay this invoice. You need to, it needs to tell me why. So he redoes the invoice, and it says tapping on ship's engine, $1. Knowing where to tap on ship's engine, $9,999.
Yeah. They pay you for not the time that you're doing it, but for the decades of experience to know exactly what to do.
Right. So what I say to that is, I used to be very similar to the designer here, where I would bristle with people, and I would be like, well, why don't you come and make a case with me or something, and you can see, and I actually did that one time. I had a customer who argued with me when I was in Germany, and it happened to be he was in the same city as me. So I just told him, I said, why don't you come and hang out with me for a day and then, see what we do. And then you can tell me after that day whether or not you think that my price is fair or not, whether you think it's a good price. So he did that actually, right? And he was there for about 3-4 hours. And when he saw everything that we did, I said, now what do you think about that, right? And he goes, I don't think you're charging enough.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how it is these days, because a lot of people, they don't know what really goes into things, especially in today's gig economy, where you can go to like Fiverr and you can find people that say, I'll do a business logo for you for $100, right? Well, you might get lucky and get the perfect business logo for $100. Then again, you might get crap and you're out $100, and now you got to go to another guy and another guy and another guy. So when you get somebody at this guy's level, you're pretty sure that that guy is going to go the farthest that he can possibly go with all the knowledge that he has, thinking about psychology, thinking about, you know, how this logo is going to look in different settings and all kinds of stuff. And those are intangibles that don't become apparent until later down the road.
Yep.
So once again, we here at Turtlesmith tell you, you know, to plan for all these things so that you're not surprised and you know what your budget can afford, and therefore you buy the level of service that you can afford, and you do it with confidence and without offending the people you're buying from.
I think we've said it a couple times
Good
too.
point.
Don't save on the wrong end.
Yeah, don't save
know?
on the wrong. That's a German saying,
Yeah.
but it's called saving on the wrong end. You know, you're penny pinching on the front end, and you end up paying a lot more on the back end.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again, everybody, for tuning in. Like I said, check us out across all social media at Turtlesmith OK. Please visit our website for a lot of tips and steps on how to start your own business at turtlesmith.com. And if you feel so inclined, we also have a Discord and a Reddit community going as well. That's subreddit r/Turtlesmith, and the Discord is Turtlesmith as well. So thank you very much for your time. We'll bring you back another one of these as soon as we can get them together.